Hello, everyone. Bringing you something a little different today. A first time for one of these two. I'm here with James T. Hutt of our Talsorian Games, and he's agreed to do a bit of an interview here with me. James, feel free to say hi, introduce yourself fully for folks who may not know you or your work. Go to town.
Hello, I'm James Hutt. I'm the senior game designer at our Talsorian Games. I hope everybody's enjoying Black Chrome. And I'm here to do a bit of an interview with DICE. I think it'll be fun. It's my first time, talking to DICE in an interview, so I'm excited too.
It's my first interview, believe it or not. I've actually not had a chance to sit down with anyone yet, so yeah, you're my first for this too, my friend.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
You ready for the first question?
Oh, are you ready to give the first question you're ever giving in your first interview?
I think I can. When it comes down to the first of being the first, I want to see how the first can go first off.
Well, go ahead.
All right. When you were preparing to bring Cyberpunk Red together as the new version of Cyberpunk, what were the main things you were aiming to preserve from the 2020 era in terms of feel?
Okay, so feel is key here because there are other Cyberpunk properties, right? But there's only one Night City, right? There's only one capital C, Cyberpunk. So feel is what distinguishes us from the other awesome people in the genre, and thus it was paramount. I'm going to split this up into two. First thing is gameplay feel. We were trying to get the same feel of playing 2020 in 2045. Of course, we need to update. I'm sure we'll get more into that. We need to update some of the rules, keep things up with the new innovations it came out 80s, 90s, around there. There have been some gameplay innovations since 2020 was first released, and there was that to do, but there's also, very importantly, keeping the story feel the same, keeping the world feel the same. We wanted to, that's why we wanted to move the timeline forward, right? Because 2020 has already been written. We didn't want to do it twice. And there aren't very many sci-fi worlds that you get to see a progressive timeline change in. And certainly with 77 on the horizon, we were like, well, there's a lot of years in the middle there.
That's solid with it because it's such a gap there. Because 2020, beloved game. Ever since I got involved with Red, I have always seen people referencing back to it. But for me, what fascinates me is the 2045 era. But having that history too between the two has been so cool to draw off on.
Yeah, there's if you're ever out of 2045 books to read, find some 2020 books and read those, and then I don't know, maybe think of yourself what would happen. That's pretty good too.
You can start to knit together the things.
That stuff still happened in the past, it's still relevant.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I'm looking through 2020 books all the time when I work.
Whenever I did a recent video, I actually mentioned in it for new GMs coming into it, I did reference in there for them to not go back to the 2020 stuff until they had a handle on the mechanics. But there is so much good in there. I mean, the Night City book, Neo Tribes, so much that they can pull from.
Place I would go for sure. Neo Tribes is also fantastic. I like the Protect and Serve. Is a really good book about Night City from a different perspective. It's from the perspective of the police force. But it gets into a lot of the stuff that the Night City book just mentions.
See, now I'm going to have to pick that up. That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think we just recently made it available print on demand in this past year and a half. So
I'll take a peek.
Previously, it was like the hard-to-find book that we didn't have in stock, and we were really miffed about it. But we got it now.
Okay.
Anyway.
Is there any specific things that you did want to keep in but kind of tweak for the modern rule set? There's another part to this, but I just want to first see your thoughts on this first part.
Okay. I get you. So when sort of looking at 2020 and trying to move the game to 2045, the first thing that comes to mind is net running. We really did have to... net running was really cool. It's a really cool cyberpunk idea, but we wanted to make sure that it flowed with the rest of the table. So in 2020, you could netrun from anywhere through the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which meant a lot of the times the netrunner in the group is like, I'm not going to go with you on the job. I'm going to stay home. And this meant that the netrunner didn't feel like they were part of the party. Well, they were still helping, right? But they didn't feel like they were together with the party, and you'd constantly have this like table splitting problem where, well, the joke is it's the netrunner's turn. Let's go get pizza.
Oh God, yeah, I've heard the legends of how it's just when you have a netrunner, they're playing a different game than you.
Well, yeah, and it's relevant to your game, sure, but it's almost story relevant, side relevant. Now it's the things they're doing affect things that your character can see, right? They're in the same building as you. You're protecting them while they do an important thing that's going to draw attention, and maybe you get in trouble, and they have to try to get you out of it. It goes both ways, right? Previously, you didn't have that interplay. Anyway, that's the number one. We had to tweak net running. The new net running system, that was one of my favorite parts of the book that I got to write. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And if any net runners are out there listening to this, you got to go get the free DLC Midnight with the Upload. It expands the different cyber decks you can have and the different hardware you got, and it's free and you can get it on our website.
I want to actually follow that up. Was there anything that you wanted to be sure you left in the old rules and not bring over into Red because you just felt like it may not translate well? Because having the netrunner there and being just as an important individual to protect, but also have them to cover your tail, because I mean, let's face it, there's a big difference between a netrunner being able to interface and hack something in 5 seconds compared to a tech who may take 5 to 10 minutes to get into something. But is there anything that you just felt wouldn't fit bringing it over from 2020 to Red? And like, did you write it off like due to the war or anything like that?
Well, there is some stuff where the lore comes in and the world's changed, and thus some things that were really common in 2020 are less common in 2045. But they still exist. For example, in 2020, there were a lot of large, really powerful corporations. They're still large, and they're still really powerful. But they're more, they're more reachable, reachable, attainable, and manageable. In terms of like, you can get them, you can go find the guy and punch him. I would say in terms of the rules, the main ones are stuff that 2020 fans will remember, but Red fans won't recognize as gone. It's usually a good sign that was a good cut. The main one I'll talk about here is a body type multiplier, because it was a confusing part of character generation. It made things take longer, and it made people build just giant people to do. It cut down on the idea that you could be like a life melee combatant, and big fan of elves, so had to get rid of that one.
Yeah, I'm always going to be someone who pushes for more story than numbers, because I have an opinion of people don't remember the high number you hit 3 years ago. They remember the hell you went through 3 years ago in a story. It's numbers and stacking, okay, but without a good story, the numbers don't really matter, at least in my opinion. Every table's different. But yeah, I've never heard of body multipliers or anything like that when it came to Red in general. I've heard of a couple things, but that's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah. One time we accidentally sent a 2020 copy that had been just torn through by Mike Pondsmith himself, like putting notes everywhere, like I want to do this and that and this and that, right?
Yeah.
And we accidentally sold it and sent it to a customer.
Oh, uh-oh.
And they were like, hey, I don't think you meant to send me this.
Oh, no.
And on one page, it says body type multiplier in big black Sharpie, just circled around. Like, get rid of it.
At least. Oh, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. That's what it said in black Sharpie.
Oh, God. At least you had yourself like an honest customer who goes, hey, I don't know if I'm supposed to have this. Like, if it was...
Frankly, they probably could have sold it.
Yeah, I cannot imagine the look on their face or the notes that were in that thing. They basically held the blueprint for Red almost right there.
Well, it was an early one. I think it was technically the blueprint for V3 that was sent.
Oh.
But but never mind.
I think that might actually be more rare. That's actually really cool. I haven't had a chance to peek through like the older editions. I want to. Cyber Generation, V3. Yeah, they're actually ones that I want to look at just to kind of get a handle on, but I'm focusing purely on Red for myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Chromebooks, Night City from 2020. I say it again. Those are the ones you want to hit first.
Protect and Serve is on my list actually right now. Continuing on, like, since Cyberpunk uses the interlock system, and for anybody who's listening who's coming in from D&D, basically it means that the game is skill-focused instead of class-focused. You're not locked into just being a warrior. You instead can be, for example, a tech. But instead of just going for the tech roles, you can go crazy with social skills and be what you want. You ever worry about what people would do when it comes to them wanting to fill certain roles, like they have to be a healer or they have to be a tank? I get the question a lot, especially from friends of mine who are coming over from D&D. Did you ever worry about that?
Well, I would say first off, welcome. We love D&D people in the Cyberpunk community. We hope you stay. We hope you love it and you make it a part of your TRPG hobby. Second off, roles are we call them roles because we don't use the term class in game, but they're sort of more like what's a power that you can use to define a certain type of gameplay on the table. What part of the rules can you break is what you should be thinking of them as. And yes, you're right. The skills are what is akin to what you remember as a class from D&D. Ooh, I want to be a fighter. In our game, that would be, I want to have a high melee weapon skill. I want to have a high evasion so that I can dodge stuff. And that, combined with the idea of stats, is going to be the interplay of how you make the character molded into the way you want it. It's a lot more versatile than, hey, you have these classes. Don't get me wrong, I love D&D. But sometimes I think that if they focus less on classes and more on their skills and, frankly, the perks, which are like the coolest part.
Feats. I miss feats and perks, I will admit that, but I like the trade-off.
Yeah, then it would be more customizable. So those ideas made their way into Red. And will probably make their way into other things that I make. Because, it's the secret, really, of the tabletop industries. We're never really competing with each other. You know what I mean? We're all just...
Yeah, you've got fans that are super protective, but in the end, it's like you guys are all kind of in a symbiotic relationship in a way.
Absolutely. And when everybody who plays, a lot of people play TRPGs. They play a lot of TRPGs. There are people get defensive and whatnot, but more importantly, it's all about just people having fun together, making a fun social scene, and having a good time. And that's what everybody's trying to do. So. I don't know how I got there. That's very crunchy granola of me. We should all just love each other is what I mean.
Just gonna sit back and I'm not gonna say kumbaya. I will not say that word at all. But no, it's good to know that it's
I will say kumbaya.
A lot more relaxed than I assume people would believe.
Yeah, so don't worry. If you've played 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, you play Cyberpunk Red, you have the skills required. I would say anyone can play any TRPG, but certainly if you played 5th edition, you're ready for Red.
I think the fact that I actually had so much time with 5th edition that it made it easier for me to grasp. I was surprised how much Red filled that hole whenever I got away from 5th edition. It scratched an itch I didn't know it was going to, because I was focused at the time on something else, and I'm like, okay, this game is actually really, wait, what? And I had that moment of like, hold on, this is really good. So
I'm glad you like it, man.
Can I ask you a few things about lore instead of mechanics?
Sure. So I can answer questions about lore. I will say I'm not Mike Pondsmith.
Okay.
So nothing I say is inherently canon because it comes out of my mouth.
Got you.
And I also don't have an awesome deep voice. But, I help Mike with lore sometimes. I'm not the ultimate arbiter.
Well, no worries. This stuff will be pretty much smooth. Main thing is, like, when moving the clock forward from 2020 to 2045, what were your main inspirations you drew upon, like, for that baseline?
So I know for Mike, research is a giant part of his process. And part of it was realist. How do we make this a very realistic disaster, right? We were putting stuff out about shipping lines going down at a very prophetic time. for example. So the big thing was, how do we make the transition from the end of the Fourth Corporate War to this post-war, not non-apocalypse, because, you know, everything's kept going. How do we make an interesting cyberpunk post-non-apocalypse? I will not say it's a post-apocalypse. We love Mad Max, but Cyberpunk Red is not Mad Max, unless you're in a very specific place.
Yeah, because that's the thing, too. Like, I've had to catch myself thinking it as post-apocalyptic, but the world didn't end. It just keeps on going.
No, everything got worse. I mean, I'm not going to say things that are going to get you demonetized off YouTube.
No, you're fine.
There are very, very big parallels to draw. And I think what we came up with was a very realistic non-post-apocalypse. Post-non-apocalypse. That's my word. I'm going post-non-apocalypse.
I get it. I dig it.
Yeah. So supply lines, how did it get reconnected? There is a fair amount of how did it go down in the economics section in Black Chrome. And I will not spoil for you, but you got to read it if you're interested in how it all went.
If there's been one like piece of information that like people have said they love, I'm happy to see so many folks did dig Economy 101 from that.
I was of course very proud of that article. It may include my likeness at the beginning of it.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Have you? I mean, look at the art.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to go take a double look now. I have the image in my head. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. You'll know interview Jericho Hunt that they might be something like.
I love it. I didn't even think of that. Oh, I hate you for that. I'm never going to unsee it.
Well, you know, Mike has Mykoru Ponsmitsu from 2020. So everybody has a fun little insert, it turns out. You can find Lisa in the Lisa Pondsmith, by the way, the best business manager on earth.
I've seen her picture pop up a few times in there. I had someone point that out to me, and every single time it's popped up, I'm like, hey, I know who she is.
She'll break your balls on the in the NCPD.
Oh, God. Well, I'll tell you what. A little bit more of a funner question here. Funner. Yeah, great use of words, I know.
More fun? Hey, I said
more fun.
Something. What did I say? Like post-apocalypse?
You said non-post-apocalyptic? It was something.
Post-non-apocalypse, because it wasn't yeah. Don't worry, everybody's saying weird words today.
It's the caffeine. It's 100% the caffeine.
For me, it's the Diet 5 Cranberry Ocean Spray, not sponsored.
Okay. Not sponsored at all. Not sponsored. So
they don't pay me to drink it yet.
This one's just a little bit more fun here. Like, in Night City in 2045, when you view that era, what would you say is the theme or vibe? Like, we have, like, you know, the 60s. You look back at, you know, hippie movement, disco of the 70s. Since you have the roaring 20s for 2020 in Cyberpunk, what's the time of the red? Other than the time of the red, for lack of better phrasing. What would you feel like fits it?
Well, frankly, if you were existent in the time of the red, you would be calling it the time of the red. That's the in-game term, but I like to think what sort of, what sums it up, like, you know, disco, flower children stuff. We're talking about, in 2045, we're talking about, like, the people being given back, like, just a little bit of the power that they lost in 2020, that they did not know they had. And 2045 is about what they do with that shred of power. Because we know in 2077 it didn't go well, and it turns out that the corps kind of win. So we get to talk about the interim, right? A little hope, but
yeah, a little hope. I was thinking the same, just hope.
But it's like a rebellion, kind of. It's not a passive, peace-loving hope. It's now we have this power. What are we going to do with it?
I was about to say, if we start talking about the time of the rebellion, we're going to go into a whole different genre.
Hey, fair enough.
No, I dig it. As you were defining it there, I was like, yeah, I can kind of get the hope side of it. A little bit of a rebel vibe to it. Yeah, a time of hope. I dig that.
That sounds exactly like it. That sounds like an episode of Mandalorian or something.
Don't get me started. I have friends who keep me awake till 4 a.m. to watch it now. They call it a watch party. I just call it torture.
Oh, no.
And I'm always like half dead. It's terrible. But yeah, I'll keep going with it. We're going to get sidetracked. I know me. If we start talking Star Wars, we're never going to end.
Well, fair enough.
Now, let's actually talk a little bit about Black Chrome here, but a little bit further too. Black Chrome's out. It's released. It's solid. We got Interface 2 as well.
Interface Red Volume 2?
Yeah, Interface Red Volume 2. I had a couple people who jumped at the exotics there, but it's a good source of lore, not just gear. But what are we looking at that's coming after? Because I am privy. I know Danger Gal Dossier is up next. What's coming?
Oh, yeah. And I got stuff out there, too. I got breaking news.
Oh, God.
The DICE News Channel. Prepare yourself.
The DNN? I think that's taken.
DNN. So, I've been given clearance to announce some of the gangs that are going to be in Danger Gal Dossier. And other factions, not just gangs.
All right, hit us.
So these are hard confirmed to be in the book. We're going to talk about members, individual members, and their backstories of the Maelstrom. Remember the Maelstrom from 77. I love their depiction in 77, but we're talking about them in 2045 because there are members that are not alive in 2077. Maybe it's because of you. Tiger Claws. Talk about the Tiger Claws. I won't spoil anything about the Tiger Claws, though. That's going to be something people are going to have to discover for themselves when they get to Danger Gal Dossier. Next, we have the Guardians, which are a precursor to the 6-3 from 77. Then, and this is my favorite gang. I'm pretty sure this is my favorite gang. Other than the Philharmonic Vampires, my favorite gang is the Piranhas, and they're coming in. I'll talk to you a little bit more about the Piranhas later, because there's some fun stuff coming up about the Piranhas in not Danger Gal Dossier.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hint at that in a bit.
Okay.
Then we've got NCPD people who are at... so if you're a lawman, you'll be able to finally know who the heck you work with. We really wanted to have this out a little bit earlier for y'all, but we're doing it. Then Trauma Team and Network 54. So
I have a media who's going to love that.
The media and EdTech are going to have some coworkers they can maybe talk to, maybe get some adventures from. Anyway, that's the we're bearing the lead. It's a couple of minutes into the interview, but that's the announcement. There, it happened suddenly, and just like that, it was gone.
Way to catch me off guard with that. At least with Okay, the lawman stuff I'm intrigued with because I play a lawman and a tech. The N54 side, I have a media player who's going to be tickled to death about that too. Okay. All right, and I'm curious about the Guardians thing, because in 2077, 6th Street is one of my favorite gangs to see, because they're the only ones that can repeatedly kick my tail, because I can't shoot for word that will get me demonetized.
This far,
all right,
still gets you demonetized?
Huh?
This far into the video, it still gets you demonetized? I thought it was only the 6 seconds.
I don't trust it.
I don't trust it.
I don't trust YouTube at all sometimes with that.
Why would you trust Ziggurat with that?
Yeah, it's there has been times where, well, I'm not going to go into that. Long story short, that they have suddenly curveballed me before, more than once. But
well, just living in the cyberpunk future.
You've curveballed me. I'm going to curveball you.
Okay,
Elfline's DLC. Elfline's DLC.
Ooh, Elf question.
I know when the first one came out was April Fool's.
Oh, absolutely, it was.
But I also saw that in the core rulebook, one of the keywords is elf game. Was it never really intended to be an April Fool's joke?
No.
And it was actually just foreshadowed in the core rulebook?
It is foreshadowed in more places than just that in the core rulebook.
I'm going to have to look more.
I'm pretty sure that they list some shows on the Network 50, some shows you can watch. Like, I know there's a Junkers show. There's Tom and Gold, I think. There's a bunch of in-universe television shows that are listed. And one of them in there is, I believe, an isekai anime about.
Oh God,
about
don't say that word.
So, are you ready for even more? Because it's not even foreshadowed there. It was foreshadowed when I was less than 10 years old in 2020.
Oh God, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that.
Elflines
This question has got me more than I expected. Or what?
Elflines was a video game series released by Sega Atari in the 2020s and is in their book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
I'm gonna get hit for that.
So basically, now it's more of an expansion of a one sentence of canon from when I was a very young lad.
Got you. Well, this is the thing too. Like y'all popped it out on April Fools.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to.
I appreciate you pointing to the other people. It's their fault too.
Yes, take the blame.
That'll be good for my case.
Take the blame. But I actually think it's fun. I think it's a fun little thing. But we're right now in March. April 1st is coming up.
I will hard deconfirm there will be no elves in
April.
April is that month.
So you started to say October. You're making me worry now.
Did I mention we released 2 books in the same month? My brain is a little rotted. Apologies.
Oh, you're fine. It's late in the day.
But April, guaranteed no elves. No elves.
All right, no elves.
You're safe from the elves.
I'm holding y'all to it.
By the way, just finishing the idea, the Elflines Online DLCs. There are 3 world DLCs for Elflines Online. And there's also a trading card game that's fully playable as a DLC about Elflines Online. So, you were talking earlier that you liked Yu-Gi-Oh!
Uh-oh. Oh, now you're just using ammunition on me.
And it is very Yu-Gi-Oh! Inspired. So,
look,
if you want to play my in-game Elflines Online Yu-Gi-Oh! Joke, not a joke, you can do that too.
That was an old time there, my friend. That was years back. I totally didn't quit around the time Xyz popped up. No, that didn't drive me off at all.
Well. I'll have you know that Pot of Greed is a fully playable card in the Elflines Online trading card game, and you can still play with it.
I'm not going to say the meme. I'm going to say it. Does it let you draw 2 cards at least?
It lets you draw 2 cards. That's
awesome. Okay. All right.
Anyway, so that was your punishment for the curveball. Would you like?
I hate you.
Another?
You didn't even bring up the fact I like magic. That's so hurtful. Just with the Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm so stabbed in the back here.
Oh, man.
Well, all right. Big one.
I love the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. It's a great anime.
Big one and last one, okay? Because I don't want to keep holding up too much of your time. What's one story you're hoping gets told in the time between 2045 and 2077? Before we start going into the, everything that's happened with the video game, everything with edge runners and all that, what's something you want to actually explore more, push more, or even just hear yourself in terms of the time between? Because we've got 30 years. What's something you want touched on?
There's a lot of stories I want to tell. There's a lot of stories to be told in the time in 2045, that era. So this is just one of them. And I did say that I had to do some Piranha stuff coming up.
Okay. And
there will be Piranhas featured in a DLC in the next 4 months. And some capacity. One story that I want to tell more fully is we have these characters that reoccur from the Jumpstart kit. Molly Anderson being one of them. And we sort of have these DLCs focused on like fixers, where we've got a world story bit, and then we get to tell story through items, which is something we love doing in Cyberpunk Red. I wanna tell a full Arctic story with the Piranhas and Molly Anderson, and you're gonna get the first bits of it in Black Chrome Plus, which is on our website. It's a free DLC that released on the same day as Black Chrome, and it has Molly's night market in it.
Yeah, The waifu rifle.
Yeah.
Or as some of my friends have taken to call it, the raifu.
In fact,
I hate them.
The raifu description has important plot points in it. See, that's the cool part about Cyberpunk Red is that think about like these monthly DLCs that are coming out. Like these are the short stories in between the big stories. They're like the TV series, right? We'll use a Marvel metaphor. They're the TV series, and if you don't catch them, well, then when the movie comes out, we put out a new book, right? There might be things in there that you don't understand or are new to you because you didn't read the DLCs.
I have a great comparison, and it's going to make a lot of people angry, but I'm going to say it anyway. So you could say the DLCs are like the Book of Boba Fett between Mandalorian and series episodes. Like that was not Boba Fett at all. That was just a piece of Mandalorian. So it's like in between big releases, we have the little bits that we can pull on. And that's something I actually want to say that I love about Red. In 5th edition, we would have killed for these DLCs. Instead of Unearthed Arcana, being able to get like straight up canon add-ons every month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd have been nuts. And I just, it astounds me how much I'll put out.
Well, one reason we can do that is because we care a lot about keeping people interested in our thing. We know it takes us a long time to write a book. At the end of the day, I just thought, wouldn't it be nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
If every month you got something new for your favorite game. Because that's you maybe play 3 times a month. Every 4th game, there's new stuff.
And it's not only just weapons and stuff like that. That's the thing that catches me too. It does, sure, it's good to get a new gun, but you can only carry so many guns. And that goes back to the point I made earlier that, sure, high numbers look cool, but what matters more is the story you get out of them.
Absolutely. So I guess that's my beginning of my long send-off, which is please read our free DLCs. We make them for you. They're free. You don't have to pay for them. They're on our website, Talsoriangames.com.
The one you mentioned earlier, Midnight with the Upload, I have 2 Netrunners in my main game. They eat it up. Great. But the Cybermess and Gunmess were good too. They were really good.
Yeah. Those are every December we're trying to do cycles, quote unquote. But every December we're doing stuff that we know people want because we know what you want. And in December it just feels the right time to give gifts. So
no, I hear you. And hey, I appreciate you just sitting down with me for this and let me pick your brain a little bit. I am again sorry about the curveball, at least with Elf Ones. I am sorry. I am sorry.
No, you were thoroughly punished.
Yeah, I have had my legs kicked off.
Sorry. You've been given what is it called? You're forgiven.
Yeah, my comeuppance.
Yeah. No.
Uh-huh. No, we're good. Is there any questions you may have for me or anything else you want to share? Like, I know you've talked about Danger Gal Dossier a little bit. Anything else you want to go into?
Oh, yeah. Couple things. First off, Danger Gal Dossier is the next book we're targeting this year. When we have specific months, we will say specific months. But no, we're doing it this year.
Okay.
We think. We hope. Okay. Second off, I do a couple of these. I think I do a show with John the Wise, where I don't think I mentioned this in this interview, but people sometimes know me as the mayor of Bouncetown, and we hold court every month at the John the Wise channel. And the final bit is that I have my own website at jameshuttgames.com, and there's a newsletter there if you want to stay abreast with all of the indie stuff I do that isn't Tal. But, it goes without saying, if you're a fan of my work and other stuff, you might be a fan of my stuff there. Make your own decisions. We'd love to have you. Anyway, that's about it, man.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll actually link, I definitely will link John's channel down below. He's been a hell of a resource for like my players and even me when I was first getting into this stuff. And he's just a cool dude. Just a cool guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't get to talk to him much. I talked to him a little while ago, but it's been a minute. I had to drop my hello. And I'll also link your site down there too. And that's like what's the main way people can keep in contact too, at least what's going on? Same thing with your website and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I'm not really a social media guy.
I don't blame you.
So if you if you pop around down the Discord, the Talsorian Discord, and you ask some questions, I might be in there. Icon that looks like a seal. But otherwise, if in terms of keeping in touch with my work, that would be jameshuttgames.com, and that would be joining the newsletter because I don't really post. Other than that, that's how you do it.
Yeah, well, again, thanks again for just sitting down with me for a little bit. And for everyone listening, I hope you're all having a good day too. I hope you all find yourselves a good table.